Hey everyone, welcome to another podcast of Marketing 101. Really special guest this week, Dr. Chris Zaino. He's going to tell us a lot about how he got to where he's at, a little bit behind being a DC. And if you followed him before, then you're probably pretty excited. If you haven't known this guy before, it's one guy that I've followed for many years. I've been practicing for 17 years. The Zaino experience, all that stuff from Calgary with, Dustin and the crew. And it was fun and I learned a lot. So, that's how I got connected with Chris, and he was gracious to give us his time today. So, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and everybody watching. And if you guys can, just kind of put your phones on silent or use them for notes. And this is something you'll definitely watch over and over again. I just know it will give you just as much value as possible.
Awesome, thanks, man. How did it all start for you? Where did you come from? Where did this all start? The chiropractic thing.
Right. So that would have been 10,000th on the list of what I was going to do. So I was personal training. I just won Mr. America. So I was in Orlando, Florida. We were just talking. I lived in Sarasota. I went to the Florida State, then transferred to University of Central Florida. Then I was around 21 when I graduated. That's when I went to Mr. America. Really started going pretty big in the fitness industry. And then I got hired to train the team of Xena Warrior Princess. So that was like, remember that show where they were half naked. So I had to make them look good, train them, nutrition.
Right.
And then half the time we were in New Zealand because that's where they did most of the filming. Great job. I was like, this is it. And it's so funny at that age. You're like, you think that's the thing you're going to do forever. Like, oh, I could do this forever. Not realizing life had chapters. So around 23, I was getting the ulcerative colitis, but didn't know it. So I was going to the bathroom 15, 18 times a day, bleeding, losing weight, couldn't keep anything in me. And it just never went away. I just played Dr. Google, nothing worked. And then I got to the point where you're losing your bowels in public. So that's how stubborn I am that I have to literally shit my pants in public, say, okay, maybe we got a problem. And so I was
Mm.
diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And like the modern medical system, drugs, prednisone, more drugs, nothing's working. Well, drugs, then take these drugs because they're side effects. They weren't even, I was on some wacky stuff. And I went down to 160 pounds from 230. And they said, you're a week away. We got to take your colon out. Because, so guys, if you watch, you guys, most of you know, ulcerative colitis is the lower intestine, autoimmune. Crohn's is the upper intestine. There's something where that colitis gets splashed into the small. Now you have Crohn's colitis. Now you're a goner at that one. So like we're going to take out your colon. So I was a week away from getting my colon removed. And my mom sends out a prayer email. And the prayer email was answered by my anatomy teacher from 10th grade. So this is very important, guys. He's my 10th grade anatomy teacher. Because listen, when you come into town, I want to see Chris. Maybe I could help him. So I'm in there to see my mom, and he comes over. So here's a person who saw an email, answered the email. I just want to lay down the confidence this person had in what he was about to tell me, or the belief in what he had. So he came over, he met me, no one else did, right? And he says, listen, I need you to go see my chiropractor. It's going to change your life. So nonchalantly, so confident. And to me, because I'm not into witchcraft, why would I ever want to go see a chiropractor? Because my only perception of chiropractic was someone who taped up my ankle when I played baseball. I never knew about the principle. I thought it was like a upscale PT, maybe. So how the hell is a muscle modality going to help an incurable disease? And I said, listen, I tried everything. And he goes, no. He goes, you didn't try everything, because if you tried everything, you would have had your result. Right. So sometimes that little bit was just enough to be like, holy shit, he's right. So I went to see a guy named Dr. Roger Romano. God bless his soul, rest his soul. And he sent me down. He took pictures of my spine, and he gave me my first ever chiropractic doctor's report. It's about 45 minutes. It was, I said it was like out of a page of a Dr. Seuss book because it was so simple, and I couldn't call bullshit on anything. Brain controls everything. Yes, I cut off your head. What happens? I die. Very simple. And here's the thing: I had my anatomy degree, my like physics degree. It's like no one actually taught it. They taught us the nervous system, but they didn't teach us the nervous system in regards to health. And when I went back, I saw my X-rays and had a big 20-degree uh, subluxation of the lower spine. My atlas was jammed in half, and I'm looking at a blind spot I didn't know I had. But I'm stubborn. I don't believe. And that's the cool thing with the principle of Chiro, Doc, is it doesn't care about your belief. It's
Yeah.
a law, right?
Right.
So I said, listen, I appreciate this, but you know, when am I going to get better? He's like, listen, and this is how certain he was. He's like, As long as you have that subluxation, as long as your body's in that environment, unable to heal, your body's never going to get well. And he goes, and he threw it all on me. You know how a lot of things goes, but when you, and he's pointing his finger, when you choose to correct your problem, and then the body's in its own environment to be able to heal itself, then your body will heal. He's like, but the day and the hour, he's like, that's not up to me, because that's between you, your body, and God. He's like, but I will tell you what, if you never quit on yourself, you'll get better. I mean, what an honest answer, because every doctor I went to is, well, I'll switch this drug, that drug. And every drug I did, I got worse or had some wacky other side effects. So I'm shell shocked. But for someone to say, hey, listen, we don't know the day and the hour, but I'm telling you, if you don't quit, you're going to get, you will heal. So fair enough. And I wish I was a chiropractic miracle, like one adjustment. No, man, like every day I saw blood in that toilet bowl for months. Very scary. So I'm seeing in the 3D world the reality of blood. Things are not working. So what I'm trying to say is I wasn't a positive person. I've seen what I didn't want to see, but slowly, maybe I only bled 5 times today. Oh, my weight didn't drop anymore. Like little wins along the way. And then we all patients, and even ourselves, then we get to the point of enough evidence that the momentum switches to where, oh shit, this is working. Oh my God. Instead of maybe to like knowing. And 7 months later, guys, 7 months later, I was completely off the medications, no more blood, and my body had healed itself from an incurable terminal disease called ulcerative colitis. So, Doc, I have this amazing story. For the first time in my life, I had something that it's like, it's real. I could talk about, not from the mind. I could vomit this. And I said, listen, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to become a chiropractor. And I went to Life. Life, 2 years in, Life lost their accreditation. I lost all my credits over you guys in that class. And I went to Parker because by the time I would graduate, they were under any inspection for accreditation. So I started back in Dallas, and in 2005, I graduated and opened shop October 2005. So 19 years.
Yeah, there you go. Amazing. So, I mean, the story got you into this, of course. There was no argument about that,
Yeah,
and then the rest is all history.
yeah, man. And the cool thing about that is school trained me to become like a practitioner.
Mm.
And it stole the fire of what got me into chiropractic. And I'll tell you how it all turned around. So I was white coat, wore the stethoscope the wrong way, all this bullshit, orthopedic tests. And I had a little book, like a binder. And in the binder, it looked like this. In the binder, I had my talk notes, like what the talk was, my teaching. So I would stand behind a thing and teach what chiropractic was, but very like teacher liker. Still better when they ever heard, but it was very like no spirit to it, right? And then I had like some PowerPoints. It was very teachy. And anytime I would talk, I would lean on all that stuff, all that technology, and people would say great information. They appreciated, but I never really got any results. And you do it a couple times, and it's tough to admit that you kind of like, do I suck? I don't think I suck. I just wasn't persuading people. So I was asked to talk at a Rotary meeting here because I guess it was a Tuesday. My patient told me Thursday was the Rotary, and the Rotary here in Houston is filled with a lot of like orthopedic surgeons, old oil money, like big oil. So I'm like, shit. So I had imposter syndrome. So here, my fear was, how am I going to impress these people? Like, how am I going to impress a lawyer or a neurosurgeon or a heart surgeon or a big oil? Like, so I'm here so caught in my head, and I forgot all my tech. I didn't load my car. I was gonna flake. I was like, I'm just gonna get out of here. I'm gonna flake. It was like July. It was so freaking hot, and I was about to leave. And this was my turning point because I was so worried about impressing them and them having an opinion of me or medicine having an opinion. I'm like, wait a second. I go, no one could do my story or tell my story better than me because it's mine. So, like, Doc, you can call if I said, you can call bullshit on my story. It's my life. And I went in there and I just told my story like I told you there. I've never got a standing ovation before. Boom. And I have never, and this is why I was one of the first to realize I could take payments before they come in. People came up to me with cash saying, listen, I know you're busy. Here's $100, here's $50. Can I lock in an appointment? I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could do that. So that was like the start of the prepays. And Doc, I never, ever touched that PowerPoint stick again. I just had a spine, and I had that old ANS chart that we all had if you're in practice more than 10 years, and an easel, and that was it. And I just told my story. But then I crafted it where I told my story, whereas I'm telling the story, I could throw the teaching points in there,
Mm.
And then it became, it was something and I realized telling my story also, I healed because I was never a victim of ulcerative colitis. I saw that as it was a cosmic alarm clock for me at a time in my life. It was an experience I went through to shift the trajectory of my life, to create events to happen, to become a chiropractor, and to then be able to help so many people. So when I really saw it as a blessing, it was never mine. It was just an experience I went through. And the more I talked and the more dirty I got with that story, and I realized, listen, how dirty can I get that story? And I did. That's when true healing happened. And when I was able to set myself free, I was able to connect with that person in front of me like nobody else, because it's like real recognizes real. I wasn't about being perfect. I want to show, like, listen, I had a huge hero's journey here. And now I would have to hate you to know something that changed and saved my life. Like, my life was on a trajectory. Guys, if I went for the surgery, I would have been dead by now, right? I'm 47. But I charged out like I'm so scared that if I didn't make that decision, my whole life would have been different. And I would have to hate you to know something that changed my life and not at least tell you about it and give you a chance to do that. And Doc, you saw what it built. It was the only thing I did was that story, period. And I don't want anybody to think, well, you have a great freaking story. No, guys, you have a patient with that story. It wasn't my story. It was, I was able to be completely authentic, completely raw, at the same time teach the principle. I never told people I was a chiropractor.
Right.
Because remember,
Your story wouldn't have transcended to everyone. It's ulcerative colitis. People would be like, well, I don't have ulcerative colitis. How are you going to help me? It
yeah,
was your certainty and your conviction behind it. It changed your life, and no one was going to shake that foundation. That's what you got to stand on. And you don't have to go through ailment or terminal illness to overcome it with a chiropractic adjustment to tell a great story. You can tell the stories from your patients. You can tell. This is so great, Dr. Z, because this is what we try and teach. You have to have a foundation and that you stand and build something on. Otherwise, nothing's going to be built. And a lot of chiros and a lot of service professionals end up on fragmented foundations, if that, and try and build stuff on it. Try and build stuff on
right.
sand, and it doesn't work. You got to find the source of what you're going to do and why you're going to do it. Why being the biggest part. So that's great.
You just nailed it. That was the key. So my story, so I knew, how like you could get into a zone. So
Mm-hmm.
my story was a series of thought processes to get me locked in to that certainty. I think that was it, Doc. So you're right, because the reason why I say that, like, the biggest excuse I've heard from a chiropractor is, well, I don't have a story like that. And I'm like, no, it wasn't that. And you just hit it right. Like, it was what I did to get me to true north again, to then teach the principle what it was. So whether it's my story or whether I could get into it for a patient that I had or a situation, you're right. So that's exactly what it was. It was a series of thoughts or a thought process from me, my story. It was able to lock me into this, like, you know, life changing paradigm to help people. So I think you're absolutely correct. It was what I used over time to kind of switch it on to that level of certainty. That was
Right.
great. I didn't
Right.
even realize that. So see, guys, that's the great thing about when we all get together and talk. It's like, because we always raise our awareness. So here, I'm always open. Like, that was amazing. Like, I realized, like, shit, you know, my talk represented my equation to step into a certainty model that I may have not had driving there. I mean, come on, like, I'm not like, there's some doctors that there was always in state. And like, dude, chill out. But so it's like, dude, we're eating like
Yeah, we're
shit.
not. That was my next question for
Yeah,
you. You're 47 now. You've been doing
yeah,
this for a while. You haven't been on every single day for 19 years
no,
to do this. Like, you've had down days, you've had other life events, you've
yeah,
had associates quit, you've had stuff that
yeah.
turns you off. I mean, turns you off from the business. And maybe there was a couple of days where you're like, I hate this. I hate
Oh
this
yeah,
doing
you
this
kidding?
job, right?
I try to run
So
away. Yeah, I'm trying to run away for the past 3 years.
yeah,
That's another thing I realized. I got into. I try to throw a bunch of Hail Marys financially. I try to and looking back, I'm like, why the hell did I do that? And I was talking to a friend of mine. It's like, it sounds like you were trying to retreat. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to get a house in Florida on 8 acres, a compound, everything. Like, you don't have to see, because I don't want to see people anymore. Because I generalize, you hear how many people didn't show up with their spouse and they got to go home and talk to their spouse. So I start generalizing everybody because you're where you're thinking. And I'm like, I was trying to retreat. And he goes,
Right.
maybe not. Maybe God's not done with you. Maybe he wants you to fight.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I realized, and that was from Doc, from what's it, April 5th. Now we're doing this. So from January, February, March, April. So 15 months ago, I'm sitting in sewage with no electricity or pure water in a Mexican prison, to losing everything, and this month we'll cross 150 again. So it's just like it felt so long, and it felt like there was no way possible. But all of that, I did a post there. I really think the meaning of us being on this planet is to experience human emotions. I'll tell you why, because when you read, whether you be Muslim or Christian, everything after this is paradise. It's perfect. It's awesome. What good is utopia? There's no feeling. How can I appreciate this month and helping people with when I couldn't contrast sitting in sewage and losing it all, right? So it's like,
Right.
what a gift. Holy shit. Like you said, tough times, wanted to quit. You're like, what a gift that I could experience and feel that, because then I could feel the opposite. Oh my God. I go because no one ever thought, everybody's preaching paradise and utopia. That doesn't work. What kind of life would that be? You and I are grateful for each other because we know what it's like not to have a good conversation, or not to be in a good relationship, or not to have a job that we're on purpose for. It's like, oh my God, my reason for being in this physical body is to experience all emotions, as high as they could be and as low as they could be. And I think that's a really tremendous part of life. And then, but you got to go through some crazy stuff to realize your plate is always big enough. Remember, I don't know if my plate's big enough. Your plate, guys, could handle everything.
Big enough.
I
Yes.
realized the worst thing that could happen, when it does happen, it's really not the worst thing. And then the gratefulness when it comes back. Yeah, or
It's
in another,
crazy.
or at least not even great, or just an appreciation of shit. Maybe humbling out, whatever it may be. Because if I didn't humble out and stuff like that, I wouldn't have reached out for help. I wouldn't have reached out for a doc. See, doc, I never liked training staff. I was too nice of a guy. I wanted to be friends with everybody. And this guy, Dr. Scott Doherty, and he came in and he just observed my practice, and he just had a heart for me. He's like, I think you got some potential here. And he came in and he brought in blueprint, all some cool modalities and verticals. And I did and I've never seen someone hire someone and they're great. I'm like, how'd you hire? I've been looking for 15 years for a good office manager like that. Some people have a good talent, and sometimes I realize I try to do it all, where now it's like, if I could team up with people that are excellent in that area and they're just talented in there, they love to scale, they love to grow the businesses, and they do the things that I just didn't like. That's when we can move a lot forward. So a lot changed. Whereas I don't want to be Superman anymore, and really lean on some giants that are really excellent in other areas of practice, like scaling and building a team and training. So it's been an absolute blessing. But Doc, if I didn't go through trying to retreat and escape and getting evil and nasty, and when someone come in, being rude to patients, if I didn't go through that part, I never would have been able to get to this part.
Yeah. No, great. That's great, man. That's so great. I mean, you used to position yourself as a superhero, and you told us to be superheroes, and we're all superheroes, right? And even you got some kryptonite too. But people that don't know, I mean, Zaino, he's whatever volume it was at his peak. I mean, he's going to blow your mind at what he could see himself and with his associates and as a team. So chiropractors were looking up to this, being like, how are you doing this? But remember, that's not for everybody. That's not for everybody. And then for him to be in ankle deep sewage, I mean, that's two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's funny how that stuff, I don't know if you know Dr. DeMartini, but
yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Right
I
to
mean, the
experience.
positive and the negative, you just gave us a spiel about DeMartini's stuff right there of how you can be at one end of emotion
Yeah,
and the other end of emotion, and you
yeah,
have to experience everything in between
yeah.
in order to experience your full life. You know, he said in order you get an infinite soul with a finite with
Yeah,
infinite space,
yeah.
but your life is, you know, finite. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, find the neutrality in everything, because you can't
neutrality.
put
Yeah,
I would put you put something on a pedestal, you put something in a pit, they both bite you in the ass. You gotta find the neutrality.
yeah,
If I'm really ecstatic about something, slow your roll, dude. Where's the bullshit in that? Oh, okay, okay. I'm really down about something, seeing it wrong. Where's the positives of that? Like, so he's amazing. He's been doing that for like 50 years.
yeah. He looks the same.
Amazing. This
He
guy's
keeps
never gonna
doing.
age. He lives on a
Yeah,
boat, travels the world.
yeah,
So no,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. And you're right. A lot of chiros like, oh, I don't want to see that bomb. But see, for me, success is all determined on what our perception is. So success, I'm going back. We have to determine what success is for us personally. So for
Right.
me, volume seemed cool and rock stars. So to me, success was volume. For someone else, it could be collections. I knew docs who saw 300 a week and collected more than I did at 2,800 a week. Um, success. I tried day trading because I have friends that did 50 to 100 grand a day, but it was very nerve wracking and stuff like that. And I didn't get the wow of adjusting someone's atlas. It's just like, so it's like, what is success for me? And yes, I know guys, 10 million in the bank exaggerates and makes us all better. It can make things easier, but it's like at the time of fulfillment, especially with the social media world, we start to covet, man, I wish maybe I should day trade. Maybe I should do Section 8 real estate. Maybe I should do this. And I started looking at all these things as grass is greener,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a certain level of fulfillment. I believe we all need to be successful to at least make enough to live abundant and fun and take care of family, because being in poverty or going paycheck to
Mhm.
paycheck, I've never experienced that
Can't help
before until
anybody.
last year. Doc, that was a great experience I had last year. I never, ever, ever experienced not paying my rent and getting collector bills. I was like, I never experienced it. It was so humiliating. And it's tough to go in at work knowing that you need to sell that patient. So I experienced that. It was so I don't believe poverty helps any of us in any way.
Mm.
But I do believe, like, whether it's this much a year or 100 million a year, like, you're going to be good. But the fulfillment factors to success, when we lay out what success means to us, what is the fulfilling part of that? So for me, building a studio and doing videos and speaking, way more fulfilling, um, than some other things that I would try to chase at, thinking they would fulfill something, but they didn't.
Right. Awesome, man. That's good stuff. Yeah, don't chase it. I mean, it comes from within and
Yep.
you got to build on that. You got to believe that. And like you said, it's not about volume. You can help one. I know practitioners that love helping, you know, three
Yeah.
people a day. They have long appointments. They
Yeah.
get paid bank $300 a visit and they just do their thing and they help those three people and they go home. They enjoy their families and they do just as well as another person doing 150 a week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
They
really not,
define
you know, the volume
success.
game. Yeah, it's done.
I think you nailed it. So you know how people like you and I know, like, balance is bullshit. Like, it's tough. I think balance is so subjective, but I think if you define success, that also incorporates what someone considered, hey, my life appears balanced. Because I just think, hey, success is waking up, doing my morning routine till 9 a.m. and then I get to go to the office for a little, like whatever that definition is, and families on board. I really think that kind of encompasses what someone would say balance is. I just think if you
Mhm.
see you become the director of your own life, and yeah, and you know what, and humbling enough, bringing in things and like doing neuropathy and bringing in some other things and to see the miracles that happen there, where I think I could just adjust you, and that I was pretty shocked and pretty like, man, why was I so damn stubborn? I got closed minded a little bit, and um, it's yeah, to see people with neuropathy and other things do amazing with certain programs and protocols, where I would have just been so outside in, inside out, thinking. Um, it's truly a beautiful thing to see, and have a team that's really showing up to help people. It's been a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You're
Nice.
right. The superhero thing, I try to sell the practice, and I guess when they evaluate it, they put an evaluation on you. Like, well, what is it without you? And I mean, there was nothing there because I did not scale it or set it up as a CEO. So now I tell all doctors, I'm like, you are the CEO of that practice. And yes, you can see your patients and you'll have your favorites, but please, for the sanity of your life, I have a very good friend that we probably all know. He needs a hip replacement. His shoulders are bone on bone. And the text was, can't get an associate to stay. 3 people failed to bind this practice. He goes, at least it was a good fight being a warrior. And he's just gonna close. I mean, like it would blow your mind. Be like, oh, it was like so heart wrenching because um, we didn't set things up for the long term to
Right.
be able to leave the legacy or leave a part of it going a certain way, or at least get it acquired now, do something. So
Something.
these are all cool things, but I think you're right. And I think what you're doing and teaching is paramount. But I will tell you, please use me example. And I had one freaking awesome ride in my career. It was fun. It was cool. It was definitely, it was worth every bit of bullshit I ever went through for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm
Hoping
very
it's true.
blessed. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm just so
Awesome.
happy. I'm just so happy. But like, I'm so happy of the bullshit.
Yeah. You got to appreciate that.
I know. I didn't. I didn't. If I had a bad week in practice, I'd be an asshole to my kids and my family. Like
yeah.
like how my practice went was how my personality was. I'm a good friend. I'm a bad friend. I'm an asshole. I'm nice. And it was just, that's a horrible way to live by a KPI sheet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
mean, I'm thinking
horrible.
back, like, what was wrong with me? But you know what? I allowed it to. I was okay. I was like, I know, but you know, and so yeah, but that was the tough part of me. I couldn't let that go. And I try to cover it up. Well, I'm driven. I'm this. I'm trying to save the world.
Mm.
No. I became addicted to certain aspects of practice. Just like any addiction, things got out of control, and I destroyed relationships. And but it was. I mean, I would never regret it. I mean, I had fun. I chose to. Like I knew what I was doing. And but looking back, it's been all. I mean, it was a great. It still is a great teaching story because I didn't see those times of frustration as actually things that were helpers.
Yeah. The gas pedal is always the fun part of the car.
So
And
fun.
it's so fun. And you push, and we forget and when you forget about the brakes. The brakes are just as important as the gas pedal. And those times in life, you forget about the brakes and you collide. It's just the
A
way it
little
is.
bit
And it's a
more,
lot different to be 28 and 44.
just a little bit more, just a little bit
Yeah.
more.
A little
Come
bit
on,
more.
just a little bit
Yeah.
more.
5 more
And I
miles
took
per
that
hour.
into everything. A little bit more.
Right. That's it. Thanks, man. This is great. This is gonna
Yeah,
just
yeah,
this was just kind of a talk. This was more
yeah,
refocus, recenter yourself,
yeah,
connect with that purpose. It's in you. It's
yeah,
there, whether you like it or not.
yeah.
Zeno said you can't argue it. It's there.
No,
It's undeniable.
define your define. Frig everybody else. Turn off social media and define your idea of success.
Right.
Like
Yeah. What
that's
makes you
it for
happy?
you. Clean white. Like I tell people, get a clean white piece of paper, a canvas, and define what it is for you. I call it a life script.
Mm,
So write me a letter like I was talking to you 10 from years. Hey, Doc, how you been? What's going on? We haven't like, and you're writing me, hey, today was great. I woke up, and you're going to write me in as the wish fulfilled, how your day went as you would love it to be. And that's your life script. And that becomes now my beacon, my lighthouse. And so I have to say no to a lot of good things because it has to align with that. So for me, my life script is I'm on a beach somewhere and Houston, Texas, it's not going to be there. So of course I'm looking at Florida. Right? So there's these life scripts. So having that life script keeps me on like that's my idea of success. And but with social media, it's like wow, man, that doc collected $300,000 this month. Shit, what am I not doing? And then I get back into that competitive. If he could do it, I could do it. And I got to go back to my life script. Here's your life script. Is that conducive with that?
right.
Well, no.
Bam.
Yes.
Bam.
So
You got it, man. That's it. Thanks, my man.
I appreciate
We're
you, brother.
excited to see what the next chapter brings. That's cool because
Yeah.
we know you're not just going to go quiet.
Oh no, I guess
Oh, no, no.
but I'm find my love. I love like being authentically is great. So I love, I'm 47 and we're trying to have Monique, my fiance, we're going to start having kids. So I have this whole new life going. And, I love male optimization. I know what it's like to be a man in your 40s it's either still married or got to get back in the game again. And so I'm starting something called the Stallion Project. And that's what it
Mm,
is. It's men's health, optimization, mindset, business principles, male, sexual fitness. Because, hey, guys, let's face it, like, you got to, there's just things you got to pay attention more to and keep things going a certain way. And just like we take care of our bodies, there's a little bit more maintenance going on. So you incorporate all those factors, and you become a stallion. Look at these athletes today in their 40s that they're just doing amazing. And I'm like, hey, that's always been our message, optimization of the body and mind, body, spirit, and it's going to be great. So I'm excited about that. So it'll be coaching. So you have
Great.
like a life coaching side, but then we also have the medicinal side. So we got a nurse practitioner, a great doctor to help with. Let's look at the whole person and go from there.
Nice. That's exciting. I'm interested in
All
that.
online, because it's part of my life script. My life script has me recession proof. It has me
Right.
pandemic proof, and it has
Yeah.
me not tied down to any location.
We
So
learned
remember, hey, open up a franchise, a male hormone franchise. No, it's brick and mortar. It's not recession proof. I'm locked down. So again, that life script, guys, it's got to be aligned with what I want to, what that takes me to.
very clear. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for your time.
yeah, anytime.